hey, welcome to this video. I literally forgot that I needed to do a wrap up until I went on my YouTube. Everyone was posting the wrap up. I was like, oh. Anyway, obviously welcome to the May wrap up video. I'm gonna be talking about all the books that I read in May. This was a good reading month for me because I didn't have school. Yes, yes. Served my sentence. I've also been filming so many like reading vlogs, and so because of that I've been reading a lot of books. I think I read 12 books. Most of them were because of those videos, so if you want to like see my live reactions, you can go watch those videos. Some of these feel like such long time ago. Okay, so the first book that I finished, Swear on This Life by Renee Carlino. Oh! I rated it 4 stars. 4 was quite generous. I feel like it was more like a 3-star. I literally haven't thought about it ever since I finished it. I felt the same way about Before We Were Strangers. I know that that book got like a lot of hype. I think if you really like that book, you would probably really like this book, but I was so aggressively lukewarm. That's kind of how Swear on This Life was too. It's the same thing with her last book where she writes like present and then a past timeline, and then it's like the classic like something went wrong. You don't really know what it is until the very end. I like the premise of this one. Our main character, her name is Emmeline. Her best friend ends up telling her like, you should read this book, it's like so good. She starts reading it and turns out that it's actually the novelized version of like her childhood. There's only one person who knew all of this stuff and could have written it, and it's her childhood best friend turned lover. So we're kind of reading the past through her reading this book, and then like in between that is like the present timeline. As adults now, I loved like the book part of it. I will always like the past timeline. I don't know why I just had like a zesty accent when I said that. Timeline. What frustrated me about this book was that she would not finish the damn book. If just like the past story was just the entire book, I would have been like very happy and satisfied with it. Frustrated me that the main character kept not finishing the book. Everyone is like, well, have you finished the book? Have you finished the book? And she's like, no, I haven't. I'm like, just go finish the book. What are you waiting for? I loved all the tropes in like the past timeline though, because the reason that they both bonded was because they both had like pretty terrible home life. Both of them lived like in the middle of nowhere. Like I was picturing like Bridge to Terabithia school bus ride. I don't know why I brought up Bridge to Terabithia. I'm just hurt my own feelings. That's how I pictured it in my head, like Bridge to Terabithia type of friendship, you know? Present timeline was the part that I didn't like. Something that's prevalent in this book is addiction, and then also having to recover from addiction, and that actually almost like made me cry and throw up. I think I actually was almost crying and throwing up when I was going piss girl on the toilet when I was reading this book. I really liked that part of the book. Probably my favorite part. It's still a good book. I would still recommend it. I just like, I don't think I like up Renee Carlino's butt with like loving her books or anything. So okay, the next book that I read was The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. Our Lord and Savior, Lynn Painter. I, along with the rest of the world, gave Better Than the Movies our firstborn. Like, we just all love that book so much. So with The Do-Over, I was hesitant to read it because I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like anything more than Better Than the Movies, because Better Than the Movies was already a little bit of a stretch. I really already had to take the biggest leap of faith of my life with that book. But I decided to give The Do-Over a shot. I didn't like it very much. I gave it a 3 stars. Haven't thought about it since closing that book. It's like Groundhog Day trope, like she's reliving the same Valentine's Day over and over again. I don't think I like that trope, like they're repeating the same day over trope. Then every day she always gets into like a car accident with this guy, Nick. He becomes the actual love interest. Even when she tries to avoid it, they always get into some kind of like car accident. With each day, she like ends up having more of a friendship with him. Nick as a character was my favorite part of the book. If Professor Lynn Painter knows how to do anything, it is write fictional men. You know what it is? Same with Wes Bennett from Better Than the Movies. They're both obviously nice people, casual acts of chivalry. They're also like have chill, like, and I'm like, okay, date me then. I didn't like that even if other people don't consider it cheating, really, it just gives me the ick. Like, I don't like anything that like even borders on like mild emotional cheating. Like, she has a boyfriend during the entirety of this book, and I don't like the fact that she was like pursue someone else, because in my head I'm like, okay, break up with them first. You don't have to be nice about it. Just clean that up. I don't like the messiness of it. I'm like, you need to. So that's the main reason why I don't think that I could have get into rooting for the couple. I did like the guy though. Nick is a good name. Exhibit A, Nick Miller. Next book I read was Long Way Down by Kristen Becca Ritchie. Feels like forever since I've read this book because since then I finished the series and started the next one. This is the last book in the Calloway sisters, Daisy and Reich's last book. I rated it a 4 stars. Honestly, the epilogue of this book could have been a 5 stars by itself because I cried. I never thought that I would be an epilogue girly, but if it's done well, I can and I will cry and throw up. Daisy and Reich are my favorite couple out of the core 6. It goes Daisy and Reich, and then between Kabalawe and Lilo, that's a tough one. I honestly don't know. But I mainly like specific characters. I love Lauren's character arc. It just like really hits me where it hurts, and it hurts so good. Why you gotta make... Okay, anyway, the next book I read was Restore Me, which is the 4th book in the Shatter Me series. There's only 2 things I need to talk about with this book. The first is Kenji. the love of my life. If you don't like Kenji, you hate Sunny. You can't be doing that. Not an Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month wrap up. Yeah, we got the start of Kenji and is her name Nazira? Yeah, I love them. They added the spice to this book. Otherwise, this book is just... Do I have to say it? It's just Wonder Bread. He's one of us. I trust him implicitly. And then the second thing is the plot twist that happened. All of these revelations happen in like the last 10% of the book. It's just so good. If you just need like the quickest fun ride of your life, you need to read the Shatter Me series. The next 2 books that I read are my favorite books of all time. The Raven King and the King's Men by Nora Sakovic. These are the last 2 books in the All for the Game series. I talk about the series to death. I feel like the way that Nora Sakovic just came out, dropped the best book series, strongest gorilla grip chokehold on all of us, and then just dropped off the face of this planet. Icon moves only. All I can say about this book series is that if you read it, there's genuinely no going back. Your life has changed. Literally don't even know how to explain it. If you know, you know. Don't pick this book series up. If you're not ready to have your life genuinely ruined and being like the biggest pain of your life, don't pick this book series up. I don't recommend it. But it is in fact like my favorite book series of all time. The Venn diagram of like sports and then the mafia, that is All for the Game series. So have fun with that. Okay, next I have Heartless. I say that every single time. Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This is kind of like a prequel, the origin story for the Queen of Hearts. She's a girl named Kath and she just wants to be a baker and live her bakery life with her bestie, which I swear I was reading that I'm like, is this play about us? On a monthly basis, you will catch me saying to at least one of my friends, like, should we just drop everything and go open an inn in the Swiss Alps? The problem is that the king is trying to snatch her up to make her his bride. The actual love interest in this book is the new court joker. His name is Jess. I really like him. He's just such a dream. He's such a gentleman. He's so charming. Like, I want him so badly. First half of the book, you don't really know what the plot is. Just her running away from the king until around halfway when there's like a revelation and then it's like an actual plot. The second half is where it's like very fast action paced. The first half is just like slice of life. But I didn't mind because I was just there for the beautiful boy. My battery. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're good. I'm sorry. I'll do better. If you want like a good standalone, just really easy to read, it will also break your heart and make you feel things, then I'll recommend this book because the ending, that one still hurts. Okay, the next book I read was Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the second book in the Caraval series. I didn't really love Caraval, but everyone said to just give the second book a shot. I gave it a 3 stars. It was just the same, I feel like, with Caraval. Caraval is in the point of view of one sister. Her name's Scarlett. She is looking for her sister Tella, where she goes to Caraval, which is like this magical, whimsical game thingy that's like, it's like everything is a game. Like there are actors and you don't know who's an actor and no one knows who Legend is, like the man behind Caraval. Legendary is in the point of view of the sister, which is Tella, and she has like her own story and she plays her own game of Caraval. So I had hope because, okay, if it's a new character, new romance, maybe I'll like it. I think that what I just found with Stephanie Garber's writing is that it's really plot driven, but I'm not really a plot driven reader. I won't care about the plot at all if I don't like any of the characters. The romances in both of them I also wasn't a really big fan of. It was just like kind of insta-lovey and like the romance happened just like right away. Also the whole mystery of like who Legend is, I wasn't that impressed by it. I didn't really care enough, even tried to like figure it out. I know that everybody loves the companion series, like the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. One of the side characters who we're introduced to in Legendary is the main character in that book, and he was like the only character I actually like, felt anything towards. I was like, oh, I'm intrigued by him, but I don't know if it's worth it to have to read finale. I'll think about, I can be convinced. You know that I have the biggest FOMO about books. The next book that I read was Dance of Thieves. I gave this book a 4 stars, but only because of like the first 30% of the book, which is the part of the book that in my mind is like a 5-star. I would like reread that part of the book over and over again. The remaining like 60% of the book, I am very so-so. It takes place in the same world as the Kiss of Deception series. I think it takes place after that series. So they're like minor spoilers for that first series, but I don't think you need to read it in order to read this book. We follow our 2 characters. First is a girl named Kazi, and she is like a really prolific street thief. Like she grew up on the streets, and then one day she comes across the queen, and the queen ends up recruiting her. So she is like one of the queen's best soldiers now. And then the guy in this book is Jace. He is like part of this crime family. His father, who's like the leader and patriarch of that family, just passed away. And so now he, at the ripe age of 19 years old, has to become the head patriarch. However, at the beginning of this book, when Kazi and Jace's paths cross, they both end up getting sisters snatched up by labor hunters. Now both of them have to work together to escape. They're chained together and it's like a physical quest trope. I will always eat that trope up. Their relationship development in like the first 30% of the book, that part where it's just like the 2 of them. It was so perfect. Like they both are annoyed with each other. I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. And then like slowly them like being excuse me, getting to know each other on like a deeper level than anyone really would because they're not in like the great Australian outback. Oh, I was eating that up, especially Jace. I love this man. I would give it all up for 7 minutes with Jace Val. He is so nice, and it's like the small tiny acts of kindness that gets Kazi to like trust him. You can just tell that he's just doing it out of the goodness of his heart, like that eventually leading to like a romance. Like it was just so natural. After that though, the actual plot of the book starts happening, but I could not care less about that part, so that's why it's a 4-star instead of a 5-star. Okay, the next book that I read was Some Kind of Perfect by Kristen Becca Ritchie. This is the epilogue novel in the whole Addicted Calloway Sisters original series, and I'm so proud of myself for finishing this goddamn book series. Oh my gosh, it was the best ride of my life. Happy to say that I officially am an Addicted Calloway Sisters girly. If I ever am roaming the world and I meet someone for the first time and I find out that they're a fan of this book series, I just trust them implicitly now. I didn't think that I would read the Like Us series. This book, especially the introduction of Maximoff, who's Lillian Lowe's first son, it made me really want to read the first book at least because I really like Maximoff. He is such a good kid. Oh, what is this feeling that I have? Like I'm a mother. I just wanted to be happy so badly and like just have only good things happen to him. Because of that, I picked up the next book in the series, Damaged Like Us. I give it a 5 stars. I loved this book. I was so addicted to reading it. We follow the kids of the Core Six, so they all have bodyguards. This book is the romance between Maximoff, Hale, Lauren and Lily's first son, and his new bodyguard, Pharaoh. As I predicted, I love Mafi. He is so kind. He takes such good care of his siblings and he's so selfless. The kind of selfless that makes me want to protect him so bad. Nothing bad better happened to him. Mafi actually had a crush on Pharaoh, so they've known each other since they were younger. The tension it was like actually unbearable. Oh my gosh. I read this book at the same time that I started watching Shameless and became obsessed with Ian and Mickey. It's a very similar dynamic, like the good boy and then like the bad boy in like a secret relationship together. I just ate that up. The last book that I finished on May 31st was The Winner's Curse by Marie Rukowski. I'm literally the last person on the entire planet to read this book. I attempted reading it multiple times when I was younger and it never stuck. I think that I was just like in a reading slump for like multiple years of my life though. This time was a different story. It's all about a girl named Kestrel. She's the general's daughter. It takes place in a world where like one group of people called the Valorians have like conquered another group of people called the Harani, and so the Harani are like enslaved. And so Kestrel is Valorian. She goes to like this Harani slave auction, accidentally buys this slave, Aaron. I feel it's kind of hard to explain the plot of this book without spoiling everything because it's pretty politic heavy. I feel like I would have to explain like the entire, I'm literally taking my socks off. The dogs are out to play. I think I will always just love like an uprising kind of plot. Like that's kind of what happens where figure out that Aaron is part of like the resistance and they're planning like this whole rebellion uprising. So I really like reading about that kind of stuff. The stakes were just so high between Kestrel and Aaron because it's like really scandalous for like them to be together, anything happening. It just like made the romance stakes also way higher. I really enjoyed that part of the book. It feels like another one of those like addictive, fast-paced YA fantasy books. That is the last book that I read in May. Let me know what you guys read in May and what your favorite book that you read this month was. That's gonna be all for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe down below. Follow me on my socials. They're all linked in the description. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.